Today, we are traveling back in time. We are traveling back to about the end of the Victorian era. Now, I know we're not in a DeLorean, but we're going to attempt to travel back anyway. I'm going to get up to 88 miles an hour and see if we can enter this town. This town has a unique history, and even according to its current day website, yeah, I know, end of Victorian era, but they have a website. Even according to the website, they reference something that happened in about 1913, if I remember correctly. And they say essentially their fame was stolen one night, at midnight actually, and it's like a conspiracy. A group came in, they stole the fame of this town and moved the fame 30 minutes away. Now, I don't know how true that story is, that you could just walk in and steal the town's prominence, but this is a town that used to be a very prominent town and very well known. A matter of fact, this town is mysterious enough where some people would say it's in the South, some people would say it's in the Midwest. Maybe it's actually in both. Let's get up to 88 miles an hour, let's travel back in time, and let's see what we've got. It worked! We traveled back in time. Now, I looked at the date, it's actually 1910. I was incorrect, it's not 1913. So where are we? We are in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Now, it was on June 11, 1910, that the Guthrie website says that the state seal of Oklahoma was stolen from Guthrie and moved 30 minutes south to Oklahoma City. Guthrie was the original capital of the state of Oklahoma. And then on June 11, 1910, it got moved to Oklahoma City. Let's tour this town, let's see what's here, and let's take a look into the past and how it might meet the future, or are they really stuck in June of 1910? Is that what held them back? Are they still reeling from their past and unwilling to move forward? Let's go tour this town. Guthrie began its life as a dusty prairie stop along the AT and SF Railroad. On April 22, 1889, the day of the land run, sometimes referred to as Harrison's Hoss Race, Guthrie had its first incarnation as a destination, becoming a city of 10,000 people by nightfall. Located in the unassigned lands of the Indian Territory, Guthrie had been chosen as a site for one of the federal land offices, where land seekers were required to file a claim to their parcels. By the evening of April 22, a tent city already dominated the landscape. Wooden buildings soon replaced the tent, spreading across the hills along Cottonwood Creek. Guthrie became one of the largest cities west of the Mississippi, and was quickly known for its beautiful buildings built of red brick and native sandstone. 4 months after the run, in August 1889, the Guthrie City Directory listed the following: 6 banks, 16 barbers, 16 blacksmiths, 17 carpenters, 2 cigar manufacturers, 5 newspapers, 7 hardware stores, 15 hotels, 19 pharmacists, 22 lumber companies, 39 doctors, 40 restaurants, and an astounding 81 lawyers. With the passing of the Organic Act in 1890, Oklahoma became a U.S. territory, and Guthrie was selected as the territory capital. 17 years later, on November 16, 1907, Oklahoma was declared a state by then-President Theodore Roosevelt, with Guthrie as the first state capital. It was to remain the capital until 1913, when a vote of the people was set to choose a permanent location. As the new state government grew and other cities grew to prominence, the political atmosphere became heated between the governor and the legislature and Frank Greer, editor of the state capital newspaper. As a result of the squabble, Governor Haskell called for an early statewide election to decide the issue. On June 11, 1910, by a majority vote, Oklahoma City was selected as the capital. The state government moved south and Guthrie was left behind, built as a testament to Victorian elegance befitting the capital of a new state. The city still retained its style and architectural integrity. It stands today as a national historic landmark with dozens of beautifully restored buildings, perfect examples of the late 19th and early 20th century architecture. There are over 2,000 buildings within the Guthrie Historic District covering 1,400 acres. Thousands of visitors and history buffs have experienced the magic of this unique territorial city. Guthrie truly embodies the essence of the era and the spirit of Oklahoma. So Guthrie is a town that definitely cherishes its past. Whether it got stuck because the state seal was stolen or because it decided to honor its past, I don't know. But it is a town of beautiful old architecture, and the city of Guthrie, or town of Guthrie, I'm not sure whether we call this a city or a town, but the town of Guthrie does have a lot of regulation on its buildings, and updates basically are not allowed. Now, on occasion, as you would expect in an old town, a building may burn down, and typically when one of these buildings burns down, they don't rebuild. And that may be because it's nearly impossible to rebuild a modern building to the old standards because it wouldn't meet modern codes. I've heard multiple stories from business owners in this town who have tried to update some of these downtown buildings and they just were not allowed to. The town rejected the plans and wouldn't allow them to modernize the buildings because they really wanted to keep the old building the way it originally was. Some of these updates even seem like they'd be silly to reject because they'd be minor interior things that really wouldn't change the look or the feel from outside the building, but would add some functionality inside the building. Now, today is actually a really hot and humid day here, and I think we'll notice that all the buildings actually have air conditioning, so some modernization was allowed, and clearly they all have electricity. So it's just interesting how this town tries to hang on to the past while allowing very minor improvements to accommodate the modern era. So let's go ahead, walk around just a little bit, and go inside some of these unique buildings and see what it's like. Here we have the Drugstore Museum building. And it actually says it was the post office drug, and F.B. Lilly was the proprietor, and it was established in 1890. Let's head on in.
So the building's called the Yankee building, and it was built in 1891, so a year and a half or so after the land run that settled the area. Our research has shown that the first proprietor was probably a furniture guy. Looks like he held auctions and he used the space to store everything, and then he would have people in. And then by 1908, I found some ads that a man named Forrest Ball Lilly purchased it, and at that time it was called the Post Office Drugstore. And again, we found the ads in the African American newspaper. So again, just kind of cool history that way, that the different parts of town you see overlapping in our museum, you know?
Okay.
And so he was also the chair of he was also on the city council for a while. He was part of the group, he and his wife, that got the Carnegie Library built here in town.
Oh, wow.
And he was the chair of the organization that wrote the Oklahoma State pharmacy laws. So in 1906-07, they're working on that stuff. 1908, they rolled the program out. And as you look around, you'll see back by the sarsaparilla sign there, we've got his license, and he was issued Oklahoma State Pharmacy License number 1 for his work as the leader of that, organization. And then the two small ones next to it are his Indian Territory and Oklahoma Territory licenses as well. And then in 1992, our board had formed around 79. And they spent about 10 or 12 years fundraising and stuff. And then in 92, the woman who owned this place heard about the project and was super excited to support it. And so she sold them the building at a great rate, and they were able to open the museum in September 1992. And It started out with just the one collection they bought from the pharmacist's widow, and then, like I said, everything since then has slowly trickled in. So when they filmed the Killers of the Flower Moon a couple years ago, they came and gave us a donation to use a bunch of our stuff, and this doctor's cabinet and the sink both made it into the movie.
I'm gonna wander through.
Please do, yeah. Here's a poison register, so you could just walk in and say, I need this stuff, and just sign out for it.
These are some potent medications.
Yeah.
So here we see a collection of early cameras. Check this out, all the inks that would be used for your inkwell and your fountain pen. Old-time cash register, wow. $6 is currently rung up on it. That would have been a fortune back then. Old-time soda fountain. We have another cash register. This one's at 40 cents. Wow, an early dentist chair from 1929. And it is called the Painless Extraction. Here's another dentist chair from 1920 and primitive dentist tools. Here we have a complete kit of dentist tools. So this room, I guess, is somewhat like a dentist office used to be. Oh, who remembers these scales? These used to be in bathrooms or in weird spots. You pop a quarter in them and it would tell you your weight. The old drugstore is full of old medication bottles showing all the different types of medications that they used to carry and compound to make whatever was needed. Down at the end here, we even have wheelchairs. Look at that wheelchair. That does not look comfortable, but hey, if you needed it, I'm sure that was helpful. An old typewriter and secretary desk. Here we've got an old phone booth. Check that out. Complete with a coin-operated rotary phone. Hello? Anybody there? Hello? Hey, operator? Oh, I need to put coins in? All right, thank you. And behind me, you see still a wall of more medications that were available. Look at this area. This is where the pharmacist would have compounded all the different possible medicine combinations. They would choose from one of these bottles or multiple bottles to compound the medication that was needed. Oh, and here they've got labels to place on the bottles once they fill the prescription. Behind me we have the famous elixirs that you'd see in old-time movies of the salesman always selling the elixir that would solve all problems. Well, here we've got bottles and bottles of elixirs. Banana split, 16 cents. Wow, can you imagine? Somewhat as you would expect, there are definitely a lot of antique shops along these streets. A lot of these storefronts are either antique shops or little boutiques, and this is a great town to have the boutiques in. Thank you for joining me on today's adventure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think of this Victorian-era town that seems to be stuck in the past. And if you're here around Christmas time, the whole town is done out as a Christmas Victorian village, and most of these shops are open and decorated as Victorian Christmas shops. It is quite the sight to be seen, but on this hot summer day, it's nowhere near Christmas time to see what it looks like at Christmas. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on our next adventure.